Assassin's Creed. It's a titan within the industry. I'm sure we all can agree to that. We remember the assassins we journeyed through each game with. We remember Altair and Ezio. We even remember the boring parts with Desmond, the guy who controls the characters within the Animus. Assassin's Creed has always been one of those memorable games because of its characters and expansive, well-designed worlds that fill us with a sense of exploration and joy. That is most likely the reason that the franchise has 12 main story games, 17 spin-off games, and has been subject of multiple short films. It also spawned an entire generation of young kids who wanted to be an assassin and wear Altair's uniform. We can all agree that Assassin's Creed is a great franchise and has done both good and bad things for the gaming market in general. Assassin's Creed also happens to be a game I played when I was younger. Assassin's Creed was my very first game that I ever got all the challenges and all the achievements completed, and I was able to brag to my friends about it at school. I remember buying it based off of all the hype that I saw around school and all the kids talking about it. Buying it, bringing it home, loading it into the Xbox, and seeing Altair for the very first time and thinking, wow, this guy's badass. And as I played through the game, I was in awe by the eagle points and the scaling and climbing of the buildings, and with the absolute joy it was to hunt down your target and kill him in any way you saw possible. Assassin's Creed has been a big part of my life, from video games to the movies and even the cosplays. I don't know of one kid in my age group back in 2007 that did not want to be Altair. I even remember after it's released, kids trying to climb to school to show off their, super sick assassin skills and getting yelled at by the principal because, well, they're not assassins. So that's dangerous. Before I delve into a game in the As I Remembered series, I like to talk to other people about what they thought of the game, what they liked about it, and what they disliked. When talking to people who have played Assassin's Creed, you get the people who love it. Its great atmosphere and the historical accuracy to buildings and its overall feel. Then you get those who say that it's just climbing towers and running from guards. I have one friend that says he will not play an Assassin's Creed game after playing the very first one, Assassin's Creed 1, because all you do is run from guards in that game. And they constantly find you, and the fact that the story is pretty much as sparse as it can be, and is just a bunch of filler quests to eventually lead you to killing the main guy. So, let's see which side of the coin is right. We'll make heads that the game is amazing, and we'll make tails that the game was actually bad. Before we get started, I should probably introduce myself. I am Mr.Flatfaceyt, the man of many faces and even more varied opinions. And I welcome you to my As I Remembered series. The series where we go through games that I played from my childhood to a few years ago to see if my memory of the game has been tainted by the rose-colored glasses of nostalgia. As you can guess, we're looking into Assassin's Creed 1 in this video. I just want to clarify, though we will be addressing the gameplay, story, and the systems in the game, this is not a review of Assassin's Creed, but my memory of it. I would also like you to know that we will be going through the game mission by mission and cutting out all the filler stuff, just to speed it up for you and me. Now, these are much longer videos and heavily scripted and edited, so let me get my shameless plug out of the way now, so we don't have to do it later. Please leave me a like if you find yourself enjoying the content, and maybe consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to stay up to date with the videos that I have released. If I say something you agree or disagree with, let me know in the comments down below so we can talk about it. There, shameless plug out of the way. That wasn't so bad. I think it's fair to say that we will judge Assassin's Creed on its own and not by any of the other games within the franchise. So we have to be careful to remove our feelings for other assassins like Ezio, and set our expectations lower than today's Assassin's Creed graphically. We simply have to put ourselves back into 2007, when emo punk rock was playing, and you were not expected home until the streetlights came on. Yes, a much simpler era in time. The start of the journey through Assassin's Creed 1 has us start in a weird glitchy realm of faceless women as they all run around us. There's also a creepy voice that's talking to us, but that ends pretty fast.
And grief and sorrow.
Got a problem.
Then the scene switches, and we can hear a female voice say that there is a problem. She then states that she cannot get us to anchor with the memory, and that there's just too much system overload.
Desmond, I need you to try and relax.
Then a male voice tries to get us to calm down, and explains that what we are seeing is not real, it's a simulation. While he says this, though, pictures are flashing across the screen, and to be honest with you, it's kind of a sensory overload. After a few more moments, the female voice says that they need to pull us up, and the male voice gets angry and says no, but then eventually relents and lets us get pulled out of whatever we're in. Then all of a sudden we're staring at a skylight and a roof, and there's this pretty blonde lady overlooking us. Desmond, gasping for breath, launches off the table while the old man plays down Desmond's experiences.
You kidnapped me. You strapped me into that thing.
Animus. It's an animus.
I don't even know you people. Why are you doing this to me?
You have information we need, Mr. Miles.
So the doctor goes on to say that he needs us to get information for him and that the only way to do this is through the Animus. He also says that we used to be an assassin, and Desmond responds with, not anymore. The good doctor then gives us a choice. Work with him willingly and go into the Animus on our own accord, or don't and be put into a medically induced coma. He even goes on to state that the only reason we are alive is because this is the easier way to do this. Desmond, of course, not wanting to be dead or in a coma, agrees to do this and eventually lays down on the table even though it's not what he wants. During this cutscene, the female did not even say a word or do anything other than stand at the computer.
Insane. So what is it, Mr. Miles? Live or die? Lie down. A wise decision.
After laying down, the two strangers then talk over us and explain a few things. They explain that the Animus is a 3D memory player, basically. They also tell us that humans hold not only our own memories, but those of our ancestors as well, and with the Animus, we can access these memories. The Animus allows us not only to see the memories, but also to live the memories through a puppeteering system. Then they tell us that we will have to do a tutorial, because of course every game has to have one, and this is where we will start to run into our first problems and even glitches. I also want to let you know we will not be breaking down each conversation in this way, but we had to at the beginning to set the groundwork for the rest of the video so nobody's lost. I did it for you guys. The tutorial teaches us the basics of Altair's movements and abilities. It also gives us a general overview of the game systems, such as the alert system and hiding system. It also breaks down a couple of the game mechanics we'll be using, like eavesdropping and pickpocketing, but we'll get into that in a bit. Here we are already experiencing some problems. For some reason the camera will not pan properly. It either pans the wrong way or just not at all. And then there seems to be this thing where the buttons are backwards. If the game says press B, we have to press X or X for B. These kinds of system glitches are what bother me in games, but funny ones like when I'm working my way through the jar carriers and Altair starts to spaz out after getting through them, I'm okay with, as these are funny and they kind of just make me laugh. There is also a way to look at this if you want to be super meta about it. You are really playing a game about a guy who's playing a game, so there's bound to be glitches between the two levels of games. But let's move on from the tutorial.
This one need not die.
An excellent kill. Fortune.
The tutorial mission, as we're going to refer to it as, starts with Altair assassinating a man while another man pleads for Altair to save his life. The other nameless assassin praises Altair for his kill. Then they argue about the Assassin's Creed, where Altair basically says, "My way's better, so shut up."
What I would have done is follow the creed.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Understand these words. It matters not how we complete our task, only that it's done.
But this is not the way of...
My way is better.
Then the second nameless assassin asks Altair, "Why are we here?" But I'll let Altair explain it, because he does it better than I can.
What is our mission? My brother would say nothing to me, only that I should be honored to have been invited.
The Master believes the Templars have found something beneath the Temple Mount.
Treasure?
I do not know. All that matters is the Master considers it important, else he would not have asked me to retrieve it.
So there you have it. What they are after is simply important. The assassins then head off, jumping off some sick jumps onto perfectly spaced out beams. Once again, I want to draw attention to the controls. Maybe it's because I'm using a modern controller instead of an Xbox 360 one, but I'm getting incredibly frustrated already. The on-screen hints don't give you any buttons to press, but instead give you pictures which then correlate to a button that is just labeled button 5. Why could they not put press B? Why is it a picture and a button 5? What the hell is button 5 on a controller? I got X, B, Y, and I got triggers and bumpers. I don't know what the hell button 5 is. Anyway, we then kill a guard and that starts our cutscene.
There. That must be the Ark.
The cutscene starts with the two assassins who are not us saying that, "Look, there's the Ark." I forgot that in these hybrid cutscenes that Assassin's Creed does that you can move, and I continue to forget that throughout this entire gameplay. So I do apologize for that. What I want to tell you is that when the DNA symbols flash across the screen, you can click and change the camera angle. I remember this because it was an achievement on Xbox 360. See? Nostalgia, that's what this series is about. What does it make you remember? Alright, back to the cutscene. We see a group of men enter the cave. These are Templars. I would like to also introduce you to a man that you will be hunting for the rest of the game, Robert. Altair says that he will kill Robert here and now, and the other assassins try to convince him out of it as it would break the creed, and it's not a smart decision. Altair pulls the rank card. I'm a higher rank than you, I'm going to do what I want, and that's what he does.
You should know better than to question me.
All right, I'm done. Okay, I've had enough of these controls. It's time to switch back to mouse and keyboard. I wanted to play this on controller to keep it as authentic as possible as back when I played it in 2007, but I just don't think it's going to happen because I can't even get the camera to pan with the controller. All right, so we descend the ladder and to confront Robert and to get the Ark. But for some reason, Altair, instead of using his element of surprise, announces his presence.
You are not the only ones with business here.
Well, this explains my missing man.
And it seems like a poor choice for an assassin to make when your whole thing is to be in the shadows and be one with the shadows. Robert then grabs us and spares us so we can deliver a message to our master. That message being the Holy Lands are lost to him and that he must flee before he is killed. This is not a warning to our master, it's a threat, just so we can make that clear.
You know not the things in which you meddle, assassin. I spare you only that you may return to your master and deliver a message. The Holy Land is lost to him and his. He should flee now while he has the chance. Stay, and all of you will die.
On the other side of the wall, we have to do our parkour. We have to work our way out of the cave, but unfortunately we did the tutorial on controller, so now we have to learn all of the buttons for keyboard and mouse, but without a tutorial to aid us. After some finicky fiddling, we figure it out, and we are able to leave the cave and enter the assassin city of Masyaf, which we will just call headquarters for the rest of the video. Once at the headquarters, we are greeted by Raoul, who then informs us that the master is in his tower and that he will want to see us. While we work our way up there, I want to say I love this city. It's the first city we all saw in Assassin's Creed. It's the first experience that we had with this game. And it's amazing. At first. From the people milling around, carrying on with their day-to-day lives, to the guards holding their posts admirably in the blazing desert sun. You just feel so excited to explore the world and to see all of what Assassin's Creed has to offer. And that stands true even today in 2022. We work our way up to the castle perched high on the cliff, and you instantly know that this castle demands respect and holds great power. The game does a great job of telling a story without words. We work our way up to the Master Assassin's office. He has a name, but I do not dare say it with my fat tongue and speech impediment, so here it is. Once we get there, the Master Assassin asks how the mission went. We tell him that we have failed, and that the Ark and our brother assassins were lost in the battle that had ensued. So conveniently, Altair leaves out all the parts where he made all the wrong decisions and how the other two assassins had tried to warn him not to do it and that it would break the Assassin's Creed. That is until one of those said assassins shows up.
Dead.
No. Not dead.
Malik,
I still live at least.
and your brother?
Gone. Because of you!
Malik did where we failed, and he's rightfully mad. I don't blame him. We got his arm chopped off and his brother killed. Altair deserves all the anger. Malik goes on to tell Master Assassin that his brother is dead because of everything Altair had done wrong, and then tells the Master Assassin that he, in fact, instead of the Master's the favorite one, had retrieved the Ark. Master Assassin is, of course, very happy with this. Just before we get the scolding of our life, an assassin minion runs in saying, "Hey, the village is under attack by Robert," with the Master Assassin then sends us to fight off Robert's forces and says he will deal with us later. I feel this is the assassin's equivalent to your mom or dad saying, "I'm very disappointed in you," when you did something very, very bad, instead of yelling at you. As we work our way down, I remember these cliffs, and how they used to be my fast route out of the city back when I played Assassin's Creed as a kid. So we use them again. The funny part is somehow my brain remembers there being hay bales to land in after every cliff, when there clearly is not. So once again, that is exactly what this YouTube series is about, is seeing what our brain thinks about, and then what actually is. It's kind of cool. So we fight off Robert's men, working our way through the village, fighting as we continue to work our way towards the town center. These fights are not hard, and I was actually enjoying myself until later in the game, but we will get to that then. I only bring this up to lay the groundwork for later in the video when I start to have problems. But the fighting here was fun, and it was exciting to see a full-scaled invasion of the Assassin City. I had a great time working my way down to the town center. Once we arrive at the town center, we see that someone has opened the gates and that Robert's men are flooding into the city by the hundreds. The game does this memory fast forward thing, which you may as well get used to it now because it happens a lot throughout your playthrough whenever they don't want to tell you the story, they just want you to speed through it. So get used to it. Once the fast forwarding is done, we are back up at the castle and we hear Raoul calling for us. Raoul is standing on top of a ladder in a tower, so we head over there, of course.
Surprise plan for our guests. Just do as I do. It should become clear soon enough.
We head up the tower to where Raoul had called us. No parkour here, just simple ladders, so that's nice. At the top of the tower, Raoul tells us to stand on the platform. Once we step out on the platform, we hear Master Assassin and Robert arguing. Robert is yelling for the Master to give up the Ark, and the Master Assassin then says to Robert he has no claim to the Ark. To which Robert responds by killing a hostage. The Master Assassin basically says that's cool, that's fine, as his men do not fear death. And then he gives the command for Altair and the other assassins to jump off the platform, to which they do. Landing at the bottom in a hay bale, we hear the anguishing screams of one of our fellow assassins who had broken his leg upon landing. The other assassin that jumped with us says, "Be quiet," and then sends us to finish the mission of springing the trap to kill Robert's men, and hopefully Robert himself. As we go towards the task, I want to preface this video right now. The controls in this game are very archaic, and they cause me a lot of misery throughout my playthrough, so be prepared for that, because even here on this very first real mission we're doing, we are already struggling with Altair jumping off of things at random angles, causing us to die. It's already annoying, and you're going to hear a lot more of that throughout the video. After working our way through the parkour course, which was actually kind of fun once we didn't jump off those sides of the map, we arrive at the top of a tower. Standing on the grate, we can see that there's logs under us. We walk over to the braces and smash the holding board, causing the full-size trees to fall onto Robert's army, crushing them horse and man alike. No prejudice here, the trees will kill you.
You did well to drop.
This was pretty cool for a moment. And then it was immediately ruined by the fast-forwarding memory thing. Like, I would have liked to have seen the carnage or to hear the men scream and set the atmosphere to what we just did. We just killed an army, and we heard nothing. Instead, we just end up fast-forwarding the memory and standing in front of Master Assassin getting scolded. It's kind of like we just got edged, and there's no release in sight. The Master Assassin starts off by saying that we did a good job by fighting off Robert's men, then immediately says that we have wronged him. He then gets us to start reciting the Assassin's Creed so we know what we have done wrong, but then slaps us, very softly I might say. Master Assassin then says that every man and woman lost today in the battle against Robert was lost because of Altair. He then starts to remove Altair's gear and stabs us in the stomach. This causes us to leave the Animus because when a game picks up, the thing that gamers love the most is to be jarringly removed from the story. Once outside of the Animus, Lucy, who is the girl by the way, is arguing with Dr. Warren. Lucy is looking out for Desmond's best interests, and Dr. Warren could care less and just says to keep him in the Animus until eventually we just die. So they leave the room to finish their fight like good parents should. Desmond gets out of the Animus, and then he can now walk freely around the room that he's trapped in. He heads to the bathroom in his room to crawl onto the counter to do his best little kid trying to figure out what mom and dad are talking about impression. Listening through the vent, the basics of the argument is that Lucy does not want us to get hurt or turn out like the others, in quotation marks. And the doctor could care less about any of the things that she just said. I remember this argument from my childhood. Why? I do not know, but I do. Then we lay down in bed. Every new memory sequence that we do within this game will start with Desmond in bed and end with Desmond in bed. I'm just letting you know now so I don't have to say it through the rest of the review. I also want to say the review should move a little faster now because I've established the foundation, and now we're going to establish the mission structure. Once we've established the mission structure, we won't have to for the rest of the game. We'll just be able to breeze through it because it's the exact same for the rest of the game for every mission and every character we have to kill. So, moving on. Dr. Warren then wakes Desmond up in the morning rather creepily by standing over him. He tells Desmond to get to work. He also notes that he believes killing one person to save many is an acceptable trade-off and says that Desmond's ancestors had it almost right. That corruption is like a cancer. If you cut out all the tumors but fail to treat the source, then you really accomplish nothing. So, we get back into the Animus and we start the next memory block. For some reason, when we start memory block 2, our game leaves full screen. Why this happened, I do not know, but it's super annoying. But through the power of editing, I shall fix it for you, the viewer.
I am
stab me.
The Master Assassin then asks Altair if he remembers the Creed. Of course Altair does. The Master Assassin then says that Altair has to relearn what it is to be an assassin and shall restart at the bottom of the Assassin League and has to re-earn his ranks and tools. Tools include, like, being able to grip ledges. I don't know how he lost the ability to do that. Like, I don't know who's going to check in on him when he's out there, but he lost stuff like that. He then explains that we must figure out who opened the gates and let Robert in. Here's what I meant by we can speed up the review a bit. I'm going to show you the steps that you're going to do for every single target throughout the entire game. There's little to no variation after this point, so let's just do it once and then call it our assassin stuff for the rest of the video. I will of course tell you if there's a difference, or what we have learned, so you know why we are killing the men we are tasked to. Sounds good? Alright, let's go. We then leave the castle and head towards the center of town. Right before we leave the castle, we are confronted by a lower level assassin. Bear with me, this next sentence has a lot of assassins in it. He says that the Master Assassin wants the littler assassin to teach Altair the ways of an assassin, teaching the assassin how to use his assassin abilities to find his targets. Try to say that super fast. He tells us that assassins can use eavesdropping, intimidation, and pickpocketing to find their targets. There's a couple more ways to get info, but these are the main ones. Or should I say, these are our assassin stuff. So let's break them down once and then never again. Up first, we have eavesdropping. Eavesdropping is simple. Get within earshot of your target and sit on a bench. Once incognito, you can hear what the target is saying to the other person and what they are talking about. For example, in this eavesdropping mission, we learned that someone helped Robert break in because a basket weaver had been seen taking letters from the gates of someone inside the city. We cannot ask the basket weaver because they have gone suddenly missing. So, that's eavesdropping. Next is pickpocketing. Pickpocketing is essentially eavesdropping, but with one extra step. The goal here, or objective really, is to get within earshot of your target and listen to them talk to another person. They're usually talking about a letter or a map or a drawing that they were given that they cannot lose and can never have stolen. What they have doesn't matter to you because you're going to steal it anyway, so it's going to be yours. Once their conversation is done, you have to then get close enough to pickpocket them. Seems easy, but can be incredibly frustrating later in the game when beggars and crazy people get in your way and push you. For example, here is, the guy received a letter and we have to take it. Once we do, we find out that my son, probably the guy that is the traitor, is by the cypress tree. It's a weird letter to give somebody. So, that's our target. Finally, there's intimidation, or as I like to call it, murder. There once again is a combination of the skills before it. To intimidate, you gotta get close enough to the target to listen to them. Then once they finish their little blurb, you then follow them. Finally, once they are within a more secluded place, you beat the crap out of them for the information. For example, here we beat this guy and learn that he is the traitor and that he works for the Templars. He also says that as he did what he did was because he believed in what he was doing and that he would happily die for his beliefs. Now, normally Altair will just kill them after, but for this mission we have to bring him back to our Master Assassin for interrogation because we are still a fledgling. So, that's the assassin stuff, and for the rest of the video I will only tell you what we learned from it rather than showing you each one, or this review would be about 20 hours long. The model for the guy that we just beat up, Masson, will be the same model for every single other guy we beat up for the rest of the game, with very little variation from that. And that goes for most of the NPCs in the game. So I don't feel I need to show you these things because you just saw it all. Alright, it's time for the review to speed up a bit. Alright, so we get back to Master Assassin in the middle of the interrogation with Hassan. Hassan said he is happy about what he has done and would do it again, and refuses to repent, so the Master Assassin kills him, obviously. Completing this task earns Altair a nice new sword. So that's super sick. And then the Master Assassin says that we are to kill 9 men for our life. These men are warmongers, plague bringers, and tyrants, and they're all Templars. We have to kill 9 people to become the assassin we used to be, so we head to Damascus to kill Tamir. That is our first target, the black market dealer of Damascus. So we ride for Damascus, and I'm only going to talk about this connecting area in between the cities once, as it's super bland and offers really no value to the game once you visit each location. When you visit each city, you will then unlock fast travel to that city, rendering this entire area useless. For that matter, it also renders this entire horse useless as well, because there is literally no time where you're doing a horse mission, and other than the 3 times you have to ride to a big city, or the 1 time that you ride to the plains of Asaraf, you will literally never ride one again. The only thing I will say is running over people is kind of fun, but the soldiers in this area are super annoying. I will say if you are a completionist, there are Templars out in this connecting area, as well as viewpoints, and then there's also some flags to capture. So if you are one of those kind of people, then you will be visiting this area for a lot longer than I care to stay in it. I only did a couple of the viewpoints here and then I moved on, because I'd rather get to the meat of the game than spend my time doing this. Arriving in Damascus, you get the sense of the scale of the city, from its bustling streets to its immense towers. Climbing these towers truly does give you an idea of the scale of these cities, as we're only in one district, and look at how big it is. Truly captivating. Tamir is a black market weapons dealer in the poor district of Damascus. Altair, using his assassin stuff learned through eavesdropping, intimidation, and pickpocketing, as well as a couple other ways, information on Tamir. Through pickpocketing, we learn that Tamir has brought in a very large shipment of weapons for a client who remains nameless. Eavesdropping tells us that there is beams that we can use to get high above Tamir and kill him. Now, there is one more way to get information in this game, and we're about to break that down for you. Now, the other way you can get information on your target is by doing missions for these lower level assassins. They are usually a collect the flags in a set amount of time mission or an escort mission. They are even sometimes a straight up race to another assassin to get information from him. They are not hard missions at all. For this little assassin, he sends us over to another assassin. Once completed, the info we learn from that assassin is that if we run around saving people in the city, they would be willing to help us with killing Tamir. This is a great segue into the last thing you do in these cities other than collecting the collectible flags per city district.
What's he doing that for? Go away.
Let me go!
Throughout the city, there is citizens that need to be saved. Some of them will reward you with clerics that you can use to blend in with so you can get through guarded areas, and others will reward you with vigilantes that will grab the guards as they run past them, thus allowing you to escape and flee. There's between 9 and 12 of these citizens to save per district, so get used to hearing, "Stop! Thief! How dare you steal in my presence?" over and over again. There's a lot of repetitive audio in this game. While on the way over to the Assassin's Bureau, I will tell you that you unlock each of these locations by climbing the towers. Once you get to the viewpoint, you will open up your map by unfogging it. And this shows you the location of the quest as well as the citizens who need to be saved. It does not show you the location of collectibles. So that's how you get the core gameplay done. It's pretty straightforward and it's the exact same for the next 9 targets that we have to kill. To be real with you guys, I don't know why this game received so much success as it did. Even in 2007, there was better games on the market than this. This is pretty straightforward, do the same thing over and over again, rinse and repeat. This is like the height of Ubisoft and its tower climbing adventures between Far Cry and this game. Like, the world is nice to look at, even by today's standards, but everything else is subpar. The combat, the voice work, and the immersion. It's all very subpar. It's very much a copy and paste of the assets throughout every district, and they just make it slightly prettier. That's all. So if you don't sound interested by that, this might not be the game for you. So it is 2022, and this came out in 2007, so if you haven't played it by now, you probably never will. Once at the Assassin's Bureau, we report to the guy behind the counter. There's only really one to ever note, and that's Malik. He becomes one of these guys. So we'll just call him the guy behind the counter, unless it's Malik. We have to report to these guys to get the feather to be able to actually kill the targets. In this case, we're trying to kill Tamir. In the early game, these little dialogues between us and the guy behind the counter is nothing more than Altair is bad assassin, or you do bad thing, or you got brothers of Assassin's Creed killed, or that he's just straight up sucks. Like, there's no real enhancement to the dialogue. And they always give you the feather anyway. In the later game, I'll explain some of the dialogues to give you a better idea where the assassins that aren't Altair's heads are at, as there is some sort of character growth within this game for both Altair and the characters behind the desk. So we get our feather and we head off to kill Tamir. Now, I remember back in the day that the Assassin's Creed was marketed as learn the target's routines and habits, plot your attack, and then execute it in any way you see fit. Now, in my experience of playing this game, this is not true. After getting your feather, it puts you in an instance version of the city, where you have to get to a set location and find your target and do your killing. What I would have liked to have seen is maybe the target out and about while you're doing your build-up, all your investigation work. Maybe the target's not killable, but you could actually stalk them, like they're your prey, and like you are an assassin, and we can actually learn how it is and what they're doing. And we can actually see the things that we're learning through other characters actually happen in real time in front of us through the actual character we're targeting to kill. Well, we arrived where we have to meet Tamir in our instance version. Now, I know we can wait and we can hunt them down afterwards, but I'm talking before that. There would be nice if there was more to do with the character before that, because otherwise we just meet Tamir right now. We've never seen him before in our lives. We meet him right now. And that pretty much goes for all of them after this. You never actually see them until you're about to kill them. So there's really no impact in killing them. You don't have any connection to them. Getting to the fountain, we see Tamir arguing with one of his employees about how he's lacking the manpower and the time to complete these massive orders for the unnamed buyer. The employee then suggests that Tamir is asking too much of his men and that they just need a little bit more time. This absolutely pisses Tamir off, and it sends him into a violent fit of rage where he beats the crap out of his employee until the employee dies. And then he leaves him in the fountain, which is probably not the best idea for the era and time we are playing in. That is literally a death sentence for this entire district. There's a body rotting in the fountain. This is where we decide to strike and kill Tamir. After Tamir finishes telling his men to leave the body as a warning to any of the others within the workforce that may think the same, we see our chance to strike. Our intention was to stab him in the back in the middle of this massive crowd and then hopefully blend in with the crowd and then escape. The massive horde of NPCs had a different plan as they bump us into Tamir, eventually triggering him into a sword fight. The fight is not hard even though we wanted to do it more assassin-like, so we end up striking him down and putting our hidden blade through his neck. Then these weird Animus cutscenes happen where we talk to the target one-on-one while everyone outside that was just standing around us watches, but they don't do anything to us. Like, the guards are right there. They could stab Altair in the back, but they don't. They let us talk.
You and all your kind. It seems you're the one pays now, my friend. You'll not profit from suffering any longer.
You think me some petty death dealer, suckling at the breast of war? A strange target, don't you think? Why me, when so many others do the same?
You believe yourself different, then?
Oh, but I am. For I serve a far nobler cause than mere profit. Just like my brothers.
Brothers?
Ah, but he thinks I act alone. I am but a piece. A man with a part to play. You'll come to know the others soon enough. They won't take kindly to what you've done.
Good. I look forward to ending their lives as well.
Such pride. It will destroy you, child.
I'm going to let you guys listen to what these guys talk about so you guys get a better understanding of where the Templars' heads are throughout the video, and then we'll just kind of abbreviate it after. Basically, Tamir is one of many brothers that are working towards the same goal in the Templar Order. He also stated that we should know that his death will not be overlooked by them, which we kind of already assumed since how we have 8 more to kill. Tamir also said that our pride would get in the way of our goals and will eventually cause our death. So after each target is assassinated, we have to return to the Assassin's Bureau so we can report our findings to them and as well deliver our blood-soaked feather. Then after each time we report to the Assassin's Bureau, we will be sent back to the Master Assassin to then get further orders and our reward. Though sometimes the amazing people who made this game go, you know what the player would rather? To once again be ripped from the story that they were just playing to play as this annoying other character, Desmond. So we are back out of the Animus. I'm sorry, I just truly hate these parts and thank God it gets better as the games release. Though in Assassin's Creed 1, they will edge you over and over again and never give you that release. Out of the Animus, Dr. Warren begrudgingly says that we have to rest. We do a little snooping through the emails, but really it says nothing other than some woman is looking into one of our co-workers' death but keeps getting blocked on all fronts when trying to acquire information. We then talk to Lucy, who informs us that there is a deadline to get the information out of the Animus through Desmond. That deadline is 6 days. Why have we this deadline? We have no idea. But the deadline is chosen, so it is what it is. Lucy seems like she wants to tell us more the whole time we're talking to her, but she also says it's safer for both of them if Desmond knows even less. She also says that Abstergo is the largest pharmaceutical company in the world, and what they are doing here with the Animus is off the records. So, all that's left to do is go to bed. Waking in the morning once again has us greeted by Dr. Warren, but this time he just simply says, get back to work. Desmond asks the doctor, why are they doing this? Dr. Warren then says, the world is a mess, and that between Altair and modern Desmond, there's over 1,000 years. Yet the world has changed very little between the two. It's still just as broken and chaotic. And they need the information from the Animus to build a new world order, which then would allow the end of all conflicts on the planet. Then he says to Desmond, "Is that not what the assassins want?" And Desmond once again repeats that he's no longer an assassin. So we hop back into the Animus to start Memory Block 3. For some reason at the beginning of Memory Block 3 recording, the file's just not usable, so we're just going to skip to us running to the next city, and I'll just tell you what happened. I do apologize for this, but I don't control data within a computer. Altair went back to the Master Assassin and informed him that Tamir is dead, and explains to him that Tamir worked with other Templars to achieve his goals. Master Assassin says that there is more work to be done, and if there is to be peace in the Holy Lands, then we have to get back to it, and then grants Altair the ability to use his short blade. Once again, I am left to wonder what would have happened if Altair had used the short blade while hunting his targets. Would another assassin have jumped out and killed him? Or is this just like an honor system, like, don't use it so we don't? I understand it from a gameplay perspective. We, the player, get to earn something as we go through these challenges, but from a world immersion standpoint, it makes no sense. Altair already knows how to fight with these weapons, so why wouldn't he use all his advantages to kill his target? Anyway, let's move on from semantics. And then the Master Assassin tells us to go to Acre, which we're going to right now, and to kill the good doctor known as, name is on screen, and for the rest of this video, we will refer to him as the good doctor, because I am not pronouncing that. Apparently, he is kidnapping people and experimenting on them against their will, all for a twisted Templar agenda. Arriving in Acre, we are once again greeted with the same kind of city as Damascus. Bustling city streets, massive towers to climb, and a bunch of citizens needing saving. Though I will note that the poor district here actually looks poor, unlike in Damascus. The buildings are actually run down, there's a lot of construction to be doing, and as well there's also archers on the roofs keeping all those dirty little peasants in line. So, now it's time to do our assassin stuff. Assassin Minion tells us to go kill archers, which is another one of these tasks that they will give you. You have to kill them without being spotted. Sounds easy until endgame when there's like 50 archers on any given roof. They also sometimes ask you to kill some Templars, but we'll get to that later. After killing the archers, we get a map showing us the location of the candelabras that need to be repaired within the doctor's walls. We can also use this to aid in killing the doctor, so we won't though. Then with the other assassin stuff, we pickpocketed, and that taught us that there's a connection between the doctor and two other men, probably the two men we'll have to kill eventually. And then up next is the Intimidation, or murder as I'd like to call it, where we learn that the doctor is kidnapping patients from other cities to draw less attention to himself, and using the town criers to misdirect that attention. Basically, he's spreading false information. We are also told that we should probably go to the doctor when he's making his rounds with his patients, because he'll be more distracted and easier to kill then. And that's the gist of it. That's what we learned. What I just told you took me like 30 seconds, and that took me an hour and a half of game time. That's the amount of time I'm saving you guys, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. We head now back to the Assassin's Bureau to report what we have found and to get our feathers so we can actually do the assassination. At this point in the game, you are still excited about the prospect and still think that there will be something different down the road within the game. Sadly, there is not. I actually had written another review about this, but it was way too negative. Though my rating at the end will not change, I felt the script needed to be more fine-tuned and less just pure rage. So I did that once again, for you guys, to enjoy the content.
Ah, Altair. A little bird told me you'd be paying a visit.
Al-Muallim has ordered the execution of Garnier de Naplouse.
The Grand Master of the Knights Hospitalier?
Indeed. And I have already determined when and how to strike.
Share your knowledge with me then.
He lives and works within the Order's hospital, northwest of here. Rumors speak of atrocities committed within its walls. It seems the good doctor enjoys experimenting on innocent citizens, most of them kidnapped and brought here from Jerusalem.
Clever. By stealing his subjects from another city, he avoids arousing too much suspicion here. But back to the matter at hand. What is your plan?
Garnier keeps mainly to his quarters inside the hospital, though he leaves occasionally to inspect his patients. It's when he makes his rounds that I will strike.
It's clear you've given this some thought. I give you leave to go.
I thought you guys should hear the structure of one of these little meetings. It's really as simple as here's my info, and then them going here's your feather. I will only show you the dialogue between Altair and Malik after this, because it's actually good dialogue and there's character growth there. Also, when you come back after killing your target, it is actually the exact same except for in reverse. We give them a feather, they give us information. Usually it's go back to see your master assassin. So we work our way through the poor district of Acre until we reach the medical facility that the doctor is working in. While we run, I should tell you that this mission is the mission that causes the crazy people to spawn everywhere. These crazy people will push you and scream as you run past them, and are a terrible nuisance, and if you pair them with the beggars who just simply stand in front of you asking you for money, you start to feel trapped and claustrophobic. You really will start to feel like you can't move when you're on the city streets. Oh, but Mr.Flatfaceyt, just use the roofs. You also can't do that because the archers, who if you go anywhere near, immediately alert and start to cause a chase. And this is fine at the beginning of the game, but later in the game there's like 50 archers on every roof, and you literally can't move. So that's just some world flushing for you guys. I wanted you guys to know a little bit of why I started to struggle, and the review might start to feel a little bit more negative at this point. Once at the doctor's office, we used the clerics that we had saved earlier from one of the citizens that were oppressed to breach the armed guards at the door. It's really as simple as walking through them, though, let's be honest. Once inside, we hear a man screaming for help. Before anyone can help him, the guards grab him, and then the doctor comes out of the closed door. He offers his hand to the panicked patient, though the patient refuses him, so the doctor slaps him. The patient then starts screaming that every kind word is matched by the back of this man's hand. In retaliation, the doctor tells the guards to break both his legs.
Bow before him!
You should not have done that.
Return him to his quarters. I'll be along once I've tended to the
You
other.
can't keep me here. I'll escape again.
No, you won't. Break his legs, both of them.
So he cannot escape again. Well, I guess it wasn't a kind word, so I guess if he just speaks, you get your legs broken. Walking into the clinic after the cutscene, we can hear the doctor talking to a patient. Though this time the patient seems grateful for the doctor's help. I should note that this is not the same patient from outside who just had his legs broken. The patient then goes on to say that he owes the doctor his life and that he will do his bidding because he is now free. Then he thanks the doctor over and over again for freeing him. Freeing him, we don't know the meaning of this, but he is free now. We simply wait for the doctor to walk past us and we stab him in the back. Nice and easy, Animus Cutscene thing. Weird little moment thing while everyone walks around us.
The endless dream calls to me. But before I close my eyes, I must know what will become of my children.
You mean the people made to suffer your cruel experiments? They'll be free now to return to their homes.
Homes? What homes? The sewers? The brothels? The prisons that we dragged them from?
You took these people against their will.
Yes. What little will there was for them to have. Are you really so naive? Do you appease a crying child simply because he wails? But I want to play with fire, Father. What would you say? As you wish. Ah. But then you'd answer for his burn.
These are not children, but men and women full grown.
In body, perhaps, but not in mind. Which is the very damage I sought to repair. I admit, without the piece of Eden, which you stole from us, my progress was slowed. But there are herbs, mixtures, and extracts. My guards are proof of this. They were madmen before I found and freed them from the prisons of their own minds. And with my death, madmen they will be again.
You truly believe you were helping them?
It's not what I believe. It's what I know.
So interestingly, the doctor actually has genuine concern for his patients, and actually looks out for them, and he's even calling his patients his children. As well, he kidnapped people that were homeless or prisoners or sick and have mental issues that he is freeing them from. He was breaking them out of a prison of the mind. I don't know what to make of this, to be honest with you guys. Back at the Assassin's Bureau, we explain that we killed the doctor, and then we tell the guy behind the counter, like, the doctor truly believed he was helping people. And personally, I lean towards the same conclusion in real life. The doctor, though his methods may have been barbaric, was helping them. We heard it ourselves from the patient before we killed the doctor. The guy behind the counter says that we are wrong and that Altair backs down. You know, like the master assassin he is, he backs down to the random guy behind the counter. He then tells us to report back to the master assassin in the master assassin's city. Oh, I hope this is not us going out of the Animus. I really hope so. Oh, hey, we actually go there and not out of the Animus, so that's nice. We actually get to start right into the next mission. Back at the Master Assassin, we explain that we have killed the Doctor, to which he happily praises us for our kill. We then tell him that maybe the Doctor was helping his patients, as we had witnessed some praising him, and the Master simply says, when words fail, tyrants or leaders will turn to other means, like coins or drugs. He basically just said that any who liked the Doctor were on drugs. He may be right about this, but I feel it's not true. The Master Assassin then rewards us with a rank and throwing knives. We are off to our next target. While we ride to Jerusalem, I want to take a moment to talk about a few issues I've left out of the review just for your viewing ease. One of the issues I've been having in the review is that my game keeps crashing. Up to this point, my game has crashed a total of 3 times. By the end of this review, it will be a total of 8 times, and I can't figure out why. I've updated all my drivers, and I've checked forums, and the basic consensus on the forums is that it's an older game, so it is what it is. The problem is the game's still being sold at a $20 price point. Now, all the other games that I've reviewed on this channel up to this point have also been around the $20 price point, and those games never crashed. This game's still crashing, so I think if you're charging money, you should definitely address the fact that the game crashes regularly. Another issue I've been having with the games is the archaic controls. The controls are so bad that sometimes you're moving and all of a sudden your Altair will just jump left or right off of a thing killing himself. Or maybe you're trying to stealth a guard and you lock onto the guard and you go to do a drop-down assassination, and Altair instead jumps off the ledge, jumping in front of the guard and alerting him, which then makes a chase sequence. Or maybe he just drops in front of him, misses the ledge, and lands on the ground dead. It's really frustrating because it really starts to feel like the game is stacking the odds against you. On that note, I feel during the escape sequences after you kill a target, I swear that they have made Altair do parkour slower to enhance the chase. If that's true, it was a terrible design choice, as it just makes you feel cheated. Imagine being in a race and you find out at the beginning of the race that you have to do the race with your brakes slightly applied the entire time. I bet you wouldn't do that race. I bet you would feel cheated. That's what it feels like when the guards chase you. A master assassin slowly climbing a building while a normal everyday guard scales the building with ease to meet you at the top makes you feel like you are absolutely not at all competing with the game mechanics. I will have a great example of this later in the video, but it would involve story spoilers here, so I'm going to leave it out. Let's get back to it. So we arrive in Jerusalem, the city of the people, the holy city. Now, if you're like, hey, Mr. Flatfaceyt, this city looks exactly like every other city, I would say you're right. The game reuses assets a lot. In this game, from every other character looking the same to the reused audios for the saving citizens, and even the building models, the game is an exact copy 9 times over. You do the exact same mission to get to your target. You talk to the exact same model of character to get your information. And you even later, actually, you know what? We're going to actually wait to finish this thought, because later would be a spoiler, and we will wait until then to tell you the rest of this sentence. In Jerusalem, our target is Talil, a slave trader and a tyrant. We arrive in Jerusalem and do our assassiny stuff, because that's what assassins do. They do assassiny stuff, and that's the correct term for it. We do our intimidation, or murder as I like to call it, to learn that Talil holds his slaves in a warehouse. Well, isn't that just nice? Through our assassination minion missions, we learn that, in the most anticlimactic information ever given, that Talil is in the north of the city. Wow, crazy. Couldn't have figured that out, because that's also where the warehouses are. Then, using our power of listening, we learn that Talil, the archer, when in a fight, will use his bow to fight his enemies. Like, this is a level of investigation we do, guys. Like, are you starting to feel my frustration? This takes a very long time. Let's just go to the Assassin's Bureau. While going there, let's have a little chat between you and me. In Assassin's Creed, there is 9 districts. There's 3 cities, 9 districts. That does not include the Assassin City, the connecting area in between, or the plains of Asaroth. Each one of these districts will take you between 1 hour to 1.5 hours to complete everything within the district, minus capturing the flags. Of that time, 95% of it is just doing busy work. What is busy work, you might ask? Let me explain. Each district has between 7 and 9 towers to climb. You will save between 7 and 12 citizens per district. You will do 1 eavesdropping mission per district. You will do 1 intimidation mission per district. You will then follow that up with 1 pickpocketing mission per district. You then have between 1 to 3 minion assassin missions that all accumulates to this level of information. The archer uses a bow to fight the enemy. Who would have thought? Then once you meet your target, you only meet them through a cutscene, and you spend 2 to 3 minutes getting to know them through some dialogue that they are dumping on you that you are not physically being a part of. You then kill them in under a minute. And then for another 2 to 3 minutes, you get another cutscene while they talk to you and monologue dump while they die. You just spent an hour and a half to get 6 minutes of story. Does that seem like a fair trade? It really truly does not. I'm really concerned on how this game is a franchise that has spanned over a decade, and how this game right here, Assassin's Creed 1, is the origins of that mega franchise. Back in the day, this game was probably amazing, but I'm sure there was better releases. Just to name a few of the games that this game competed with, you had BioShock, Crackdown, Crysis, Mass Effect, Portal, Rock Band, Skate, The Darkness, and The Witcher, as well as one of the biggest franchises on the planet, the Uncharted franchise, all released within 2007. And if I were to rank those games against this game and just pit 2007 games against 2007 games, this game would 100% be at the bottom of that list. So, from now on, throughout this review, we're going to give the review the same amount of attention that the game did it. We are going to start at the Assassin's Bureau right before we go to kill them. I'm going to explain to you quickly what we learned through our mission, so then that way you understand our investigation process, even though you just learned that it's basically the archer has a bow. And then we will go kill the assassin. That will speed this up for you. It'll speed it up for me. And also, I'm sure you're starting to sense my frustration. If you don't believe me, you're more than welcome to pay $20. Go back and play this. Even if you get the Ubisoft Plus, it's still $20 a month. So pay your $20 and give it a shot. I bet you're going to have the same frustrations I am. And if you don't, let me know.
Safety and peace, Malik.
Your presence here deprives me of both. What do you want?
Al-Muallim has asked.
Ask that you perform some menial task in an effort to redeem yourself. So be out with it.
Very well. Here's what I know. He traffics in human lives, kidnapping Jerusalem citizens and selling them into slavery. His base is a warehouse located inside the Barbican, north of here. As we speak, he prepares a caravan for travel. I'll strike while he's inspecting his stock. If I can avoid his men, Talal himself should prove little challenge.
Little challenge? Listen to you. Such arrogance.
Are we finished? Are you satisfied with what I've learned?
No, but it will have to do.
As promised, conversations with Malak will be given to you as whole as these two characters grow together as the story continues on. So we work our way over to the warehouse district to deal with Talal. This mission is a bit different because upon arriving, we actually go inside a building for once and are actually in a trap. After the door shuts behind us, Talal gives us, like all the others before him, the speech that says, he is the good guy and he is helping these people. He's only taking in the whores, the beggars, and the lepers, as well as the mentally disabled, and he is giving them a better life. He's actually helping these people, he says. He is taking them from a life of nothing and sending them to a better life. He then sends hordes of guards into a fighting pit to kill Altair. When he does this, it does not succeed, so Altair ends up climbing up the ladder and chasing after him. And Talal flees to the rooftops of Jerusalem, where we then chase him through the city, while guards chase us. We then chase him through the city until we eventually are able to kill him and assassinate him. Here is the Animus Cutscene.
Now, share your secrets with me.
My part is plain. The Brotherhood is not so weak that my death will stop its work.
What Brotherhood?
Al-Muallim is not the only one with designs upon the Holy Land. And that's all you'll have from me.
Then we are finished. Beg forgiveness from your god.
He's long abandoned us. Long abandoned the men and women I took into my arms.
What do you mean?
Beggars, whores, addicts, lepers. Do they strike you as proper slaves? Unfit for even the most menial tasks? No. I took them not to sell, but to save. And yet you'd kill us all. For no other reason than it was asked of you.
No. You profit from the war. From lives lost and broken.
Yes. You would think that, ignorant as you are. Wall off your mind, eh? They say it's what your kind do best. Do you see the irony in all this? No. Not yet, it seems. But you will.
We then report back to Malik.
Wonderful to see you return to us. And how fared the mission?
The deed is done. Talal is dead.
Oh, I know. In fact, the entire city knows! Have you forgotten the meaning of subtlety?
A skilled assassin ensures his work is noticed by the many.
No! A skilled assassin maintains control of his environment.
We can argue the details all you'd like, Malik, but the fact remains I've accomplished the task set to me by Al-Muallim.
Go then. Return to the old man. Let us see with whom he sides.
You and I are on the same side, Malik.
Fast forward.
And in what is every single gamer's favorite thing to happen in Assassin's Creed, we are ripped from Altair's adventure to then go do some Desmond stuff. Out of the Animus, we are once again told that we need a break and we need to go lie down and rest. But first we decide to stop and talk to Lucy, who then tells us she is also a prisoner, the same as Desmond. She also says that she had once wrote a paper that had made Abstergo mad, and they had sent men to kill her, but Dr. Warren had saved her from them. But she now thinks that maybe Dr. Warren had set it all up so then she would end up becoming to work for Abstergo and then be trapped the same as Desmond. We then go to bed, and we wake up as normal to the Dr. Warren standing in our room. He goes on a rant about how the company he works for, Abstergo, has made every technological and medical advancement in the world. His company and or his predecessors. But they do not invent anything. They retrieve technological advantages. They find them. They do this by using the Animus and the memories of our ancestors to find them and the people that have passed. To be honest with you, at this point, I'm so worn out on this game that I just don't care. So I just get right back in the Animus rather than doing any of the other talks. We're going to skip the part where we go back to the Master Assassin. And just to move things along, I'll just tell you what we learned from there while we go to a new district. When we got back to the Master Assassin, Altair expresses his confusion in the choice of slaves that Talil was using. He was using beggars, whores, addicts, and even the mentally disabled. Altair says it's a weird choice of slaves to use when they're mostly broken or beaten down. The Master waves this off and says that it is an easy way to control and manipulate. If they're already broken, they can be rebuilt into loyal soldiers. Which I guess is right, but you're already starting with a sick product. He then gave us 3 more targets and a new rank. That means absolutely nothing, as well as we now get gloves. We got gloves, guys. Our next target is the Merchant King, or as he's known, that name right there that I can't pronounce. He is wanted dead for stealing from his... Actually, I'll just let Altair explain it because it's a lot quicker and it makes more sense.
Peace be upon you, Altair. How may I serve you?
I've done as asked and learned all I need to know about my prey.
Then you must share your knowledge with me.
Abu Naqud is corrupt to the core and despised by his own citizens as a result. It appears he's been stealing money meant for the people of Damas and spending it on himself. Even as we speak, he flaunts his greed, preparing for a lavish party. His guards and servants should have their hands full dealing with the guests. They won't even know I'm there.
Most impressive, my friend. The others said you'd make a mess of things, but not I. No, I was sure you'd come through, and come through you have. The Bureau is yours to do with as you please until you're ready to begin.
Fast forwarding memory to a more recent one.
We arrive at the merchant's palace where he is hosting a lavish party with rich guests, fancy food, and a fountain that serves you bottomless wine. What a day to be alive. The merchant then comes out of his quarters to address the crowd from his high perched loft. You immediately get the sense of his ego just from the way he talks.
I trust everything is to your satisfaction. Good, good. It pleases me to see you all so happy. For these are dark days, my friends, and we must enjoy this bounty while we still can.
And where he chooses to give his speech from high above everyone else. He proposes a toast to the guests, then after, he turns his speech from happiness and fun to treachery, betrayal, and lack of loyalty. He then rambles about the future and finishes it off with, "Too bad you will not be there to see it." And then he tells his guards to kill anyone who tries to escape. Also, the wine was poison, who would have thought? So everyone's dying anyway.
Compassion, mercy, tolerance. These words mean nothing to any of you. Mean nothing to those infidel invaders who ravage our land in search of gold and glory. And so I say, enough! I've pledged myself to another cause. One that will bring about a new world in which all people might live side by side in peace. A pity none of you will live to see.
As we run to get the merchant, I cannot help but think how he can literally kill the entire city's elites in front of a bunch of people in the masses. But if I even so much as bump into a jar carrier, we literally get a bounty put on our head, and every single guard in the city is chasing us down and wanting us dead, all because we broke a clay jar. Oh, what money cannot buy. Climb in the palace, I get a vantage point overlooking the merchant, and I go for a throwing knife kill. Now, guards covered in literal armor take one throwing knife to kill, but this overweight cladded in silk man takes more than one or two, and eventually he just flees. I drop down awkwardly because of these archaic controls and then have to fight the guards off. After slaying the guards, we give chase. For a big boy, this guy can sure move. Look at him go. Waddle, waddle. Waddle, waddle. For the first time in our entire playthrough, the vigilantes from the citizens we have saved came into use. They ended up grabbing the Merchant King, and we use our hidden blade on him. Enter the Animus one-on-one talk that no one else can hear.
Money from those you claim to lead. Sent it away for some unknown purpose. I want to know where it's gone and why.
Look at me. My very nature is an affront to the people I ruled. And these noble robes did little more than to muffle their shouts of hate.
So this is about vengeance, then?
No, not vengeance, but my conscience. How could I finance a war in service to the same god that calls me an abomination?
If you do not serve Salah ad-Din's cause, then whose?
In time, you'll come to know them. I think perhaps you already do.
Then why hide? And why these dark deeds?
Is it so different from your own work? You take the lives of men and women, strong in the conviction that their deaths will improve the lots of those left behind. A minor evil for a greater good? We are the same.
No, we are nothing alike.
Ah, but I see it in your eyes. You doubt. You cannot.
Our next target is back in Acre, and I can actually say his name. His name's William. Isn't that nice? I can actually say his name for once. Oh, so the Merchant King doesn't believe in any god that would call him an abomination. And he apparently serves a higher order. This is interesting. Well, to be honest, most likely he serves the Templar ordered. So we head back to the Assassin's Bureau, where we report our findings. Altair is then sent to the Master Assassin.
He killed them. The men and women at his party. It was poison. A coward's tool. Blamed them for the war. Said he wished to end it.
Strange, but then again, the Merchant King was known to be a bit different. Perhaps this was simply a symptom of his madness.
Perhaps.
You sound unconvinced. Speak with Al-Mualim then. He may offer a better explanation.
Yes, we'll see what he has to say.
Once again, in the interest of the rapid fire section, we will be skipping, going back to the Master Assassin, and just tell you basically, Altair says that he's starting to think that all the men are connected in some way, and the Master says, you will know when you know. Like, thanks, that's helpful. He then gives us a rank and our upgrade, and back over to Acre we go for our next target. Our next target is back in Acre, and I can actually say his name. His name's William. Isn't that nice? I can actually say his name for once. When we get to the Assassin's Bureau within Acre, we are informed by the guy behind the desk that William has taken control of the city to try and ease tensions between King Richard and Conrad, William's son. After doing our assassin stuff around the city, though, we return to the Assassin's Bureau with somewhat of a different opinion. Side note, look at the camera placement during this fight. Sick, right? Yeah, it's super cool. I love when my camera for visually seeing the world is constantly and uncontrollably obstructed by different items within the world. Oh, and the clunky archaic controls get me spotted by this guard, making me have to redo the entire mission. So that's super fun.
Altair, what brings you back so soon?
I've done as asked and armed myself with knowledge.
Speak, and I will judge.
William's host is large and many men call him master, but he's not without enemies. He and King Richard do not see eye to eye.
It's true, they've never been close.
This works to my advantage. Richard's visit has upset him. Once the king has left, William will retreat into his fortress to brood. He'll be distracted. That's when I will strike.
You're sure of this?
As sure as I can be. And if things change, I'll adapt.
Then I give you leave to go. End the life of Montferrat, that we may call this city free.
So, we head off to confront William. The big difference between William and the others that we have killed so far within this gameplay is that he will retreat into a literal fortress upon getting upset with King Richard. Then once we attack him, the gates will close and we'll be stuck in there until one of us dies. He will die, but one of us will have to die in order for one of us to leave. When we arrive at the castle, we are immediately greeted with the horns and the angry sounds of King Richard scolding William. Nothing like a little royalty power struggle to kick your day off, right? Richard is scolding William over his loyalties and his laziness. Classic king and underling moment. Am I right here? I'm right. I know I'm right. Richard then leaves to go fight his war, and as predicted, William throws a hissy fit and heads to his inner fortification. On our way there, we accidentally alert the entire encampment of guards, so this breaks down to a sword fight until he dies. Enter the Animus heart-to-heart while we are literally surrounded by an entire battalion of guards that do nothing while we talk. If you're not getting it by now, you should probably learn that I really hate this part. It makes no sense from a gameplay perspective or even from a world-building perspective to have these like little one-on-ones while everyone just stands there and watches. This is 2 minutes.
Your schemes are at an end.
What do you know of my work?
I know that you are going to murder Richard and claim Akka for your son Conrad.
For Conrad, my son is an arse, unfit to lead his host, let alone a kingdom. And Richard, the Ancino is no better. Blinded as he is by faith in the insubstantial. Acre does not belong to either of them.
Then who?
The city belongs to its people.
How can you claim to speak for the citizens? You stole their food, disciplined them without mercy, forced them into service under you.
Everything I did to prepare them for the new world. Stole their food? No. I took possession so that when the lean times came, it might be rationed properly. Look around. My district is without crime, save those committed by you and your ilk. And as for the conscription, they were not being trained to fight. They were being taught the merits of order and discipline. These things are hardly evil.
No matter how noble you believe your intentions, these acts are cruel and cannot continue.
We'll see how sweet they are, the fruits of your labors. You do not free the cities as you believe, but rather damn them. And in the end, you'll have only yourself to blame. You who speak of good intentions.
After the Animus cutscene, we flee to the Assassin's Bureau. Can I just say that escaping the fortress is super frustrating? For some reason, Altair will not climb places he normally does. I do not know why, to be honest. Also, the sheer amount of guards knocking you over is insane. But eventually, we make it back, and we report what we learn.
What news?
William of Montferrat is dead, and with him his plans for betrayal.
You've done well keeping Akka from his hands.
But why now, when the Crusaders require unity most? Could have waited.
Waited for what? For Richard to return and discover his schemes? No. It was the perfect time for him to strike.
Strange. I was sure he meant to take Akka for Conrad, yet he claimed this was not his plan.
You cannot trust the words of a snake, which even in death produces venom.
I should discuss this with Al-Muallim.
Yes, my friend. Make haste for Masyaf. I am sure he is eager for news.
When we get back to the Master Assassin, we inform him that William did not care for his son, and he was actually trying to help his people make it through the winter, and that he was only drafting into the military to teach its citizens order and peace. He even commented that the only crimes that had been committed within his district/city were committed by Altair himself. So this time, Altair gets mad at being shoved off by his master and says that he will not kill again until he knows the truth, and that his honor was not lost, but it was taken by the master himself. The master begrudgingly relents, telling Altair that his men he is killing are Templars, and that they are seeking to control the Holy Land for the powers that lay within it. Altair then asks about the treasure from the start of the game, and the master says, "All will be revealed in time." Because kill another guy is why he says this. We then get a rank and a new weapon and off to Jerusalem, the holy city. While we run around Jerusalem having a little bit of assassin's fun, I would like you to meet our next target. His name is Majd ad-Din. Here he resides in Jerusalem, and he is wanted dead or alive for killing innocent people and enjoying it. A real creep of a man. So what did we learn by doing our assassin-y stuff? We learned that the town carpenters are preparing a stage for a massive execution. Then we learned any person that has worked under Majid-Din has met an untimely end. We also learned that he is more than happy to perform the executions himself and is kind of a gloater and will even brag or boast beforehand, which would offer the perfect time to strike. Another assassin tells us that the people Majid is killing are not criminals, they just know much more than they're supposed to. After returning to the Assassin's Bureau, we also learn that one of the people to be executed is a fellow assassin, and we are now tasked with saving him before he is killed. Crazy. When we arrive at the execution, we see Majd arriving as well. He starts boasting and monologue dumping the crowd. 2 people even rush the gallows to kill Majd and fail, so we walk over to the clerics and work ourselves close to the stage. I accidentally pressed the wrong button, creating a chaotic assassination attempt, where we immediately failed and ended up once again in a massive sword fight. But it is what it is, we still get the job done, and once again, we enter a conversation with a literal army surrounding us, and no one does a thing about it.
No! It had only just begun!
Tell me, what's your part in all of this? Do you intend to defend yourself as the others have and explain away your evil deeds?
The Brotherhood wanted the city. I wanted power. There was an opportunity.
An opportunity to murder innocents.
Not so innocent. Dissident voices cut deep as steel. They disrupt order. In this, I do agree with the Brotherhood.
You'd kill people simply for believing differently than you.
Of course not. I killed them because I could. Because it was fun. Do you know what it feels like to determine another man's fate? And did you see the way the people cheered? The way they feared me? I was like a god. You'd have done the same if you could. Such power.
Once perhaps. But then I learned what becomes of those who lift themselves above others.
And what is that?
Here, let me show you.
Alright, so we learned that Maj boasts and loves killing people. We already knew that. But we didn't know that he felt like a god doing it. Basically, he was a bad man doing bad things for the Templars. Feather through the neck, back to the Assassin's Bureau, then off to Assassin's headquarters. Never mind, we get pulled from the damn Animus again. I hate the Desmond parts. Once out of the Animus, Desmond learns that he is working for the Templars in the modern world. I'm pretty sure we all saw that one coming. And is currently being hunted by the Assassins in the modern world to stop him from working with the Templars of the modern world. Lucy also tells us that the war that Altair started, way back in his time, is not even close to being over now in Desmond's time. Lucy then gets called out of the room and says that all the answers we are looking for are right in front of us. Hinting at the computer, I assume, but nothing was really in there. I could care less, though, to be honest with this. I'm heading to bed so we can get right into the next memory block because I don't like the Desmond parts. I don't know if I liked him back when I was a kid either. Once loaded into the Animus, we are already back at the Assassin's headquarters and the Master Assassin is already rambling about Templars. He tells us that the Templars are looking to control each city and get control of the treasures that reside within them for the Holy Lands. That way they could control the Holy Lands with said powers. He also shows Altair the piece of Eden, which is also known as the Apple or the Ark, that we had found at the start of the game. He explains how these artifacts provide power to the people that possess them, and explains that each of the artifacts that they possess will help the Templars either gain power or not. But he explains to Altair that we have to keep it out of the control of the Templars. Altair agrees with this. Then they discuss how each person that they had just killed was trying to overthrow their leader in some way or another. The Master Assassin guy plays this off as just another way that the Templars cannot be trusted with any of the holy powers that reside within its lands. Even the apple, they can't be trusted with it. He then gives us a sword and sends us off to kill more Templars. Up next is Grandmaster Sebrin. The location, the ports of Acre. Reason for killing him? He has gone mad, thinking he will be assassinated, and is killing people all the time thinking they are assassins trying to assassinate him. But we are the assassin coming to assassinate him. So we will kill him. Right? I think so. Moving on. Through our regular stuff, we learn that the guards on the docks are drunk, the North Dock is unguarded. We also learn that Sebrin will soon retreat to his ship to lead a convoy of sea ships out to prevent King Richard's troops from ever reaching the city. Simbrand is also scared of people in the city and is hiding on the docks because he thinks he will constantly be assassinated. Last but not least, we pickpocket a map of the guards' location, which we will definitely not even remotely use, and just rush in like we do every other time. Or so I thought. One thing to note about these late game cities is you are unreasonably and absolutely annoyingly under constant alert from the guards. You can't move within these cities without being chased nonstop. Oh, and to save the citizens is now a massive ordeal because like there's like 20 guards that are watching them and then more guards show up, which just drags the fights on and on and on when the guards just block 90% of your swings anyway. I know you can dodge and do all this other stuff, but it's just the combat's not good enough to have the guards do all this and then have to fight 30 of them at a time. Oh, I'm starting to get worn out, guys. Oh, we report to the Assassin's Bureau, talk our talk, and then now it's time to go kill Sebrin. Sebrin? I don't know his name. We arrive at the docks to find Sebrin scolding a cleric member for being an assassin. It is clear that his own fear of death has driven him mad, and he thinks that everyone is an assassin. He ends up murdering this innocent old man and then retreating back to his ship. I did wish that during this mad rambling that we could have stepped in from the crowd and assassinated him like we're 4 feet away. As you see later, there is zero way not to get spotted when the Roman guards are around, so we eventually just climb through the back of the boat. But also, like, the guy in the bell tower, like, immediately upon you killing the man, is immediately ringing that bell and going nuts, announcing to the entire city that there's been a murder committed. So I really, truly don't think that there's actually any stealth that happens in this game. It's just simply, like, kill the guy, and then the guy in the bell tower just goes all freaking hell's bells on us and announces the entire city that assassins are here. I'm starting to digress because just as, like, this game's boring me, my own brain is, like, starting to, like, spin out of control as I write this script. Turns out me and Sebrin actually have something in common. We're both going mad because of the assassin. Oh. We botched a couple attempts to get onto the ship. I'm not going to lie. It was not the game's fault. It was my fault. Well, one time it was because of the, the mentally disturbed guys that push you. They push me into the water, and you can't swim in Assassin's Creed 1, which is fun to note. We eventually do get on the ship, and we kill Sebrin. And here is his Animus Cutscene, which actually is good because now we're starting to get a story, which is a little too late, but here, you guys can watch it. I've let you watch every other one.
You'll be safe now, held in the arms of your god.
Have my brothers taught you nothing? I know what waits for me. For all of us.
If not your god, then what?
Nothing. Nothing waits. And that is what I fear.
You don't believe?
How could I, given what I know? What I've seen? Our treasure was the proof.
Proof of what?
That this life is all we have.
Linger a while longer then, and tell me of the part you were to play.
A blockade by sea. To keep the fool kings and queens from sending reinforcements. Once we...
Conquered the Holy Land?
Freed it, you fool. From the tyranny of faith.
Freedom? You worked to overthrow cities, control men's minds. Murdered any who spoke against you.
I followed my orders, believing in my cause. Same as you.
Imagine if I didn't. I'd edge you just like this game does. That's what it would be like. Alright, so now that that's done, it seems like he wanted to stop the fool kings and queens from entering the Holy Land so he could keep the faith like it is now. I don't know if I'm understanding that correctly, but that's my interpretation of what he just said. It establishes, though, that both sides of the same coin, both the Assassins and the Templars, want freedom for their own beliefs. And it's actually the first Animus thing that I was like, oh, that's neat, and had me thinking for a minute. But anyway, time to escape. I swear to all that is holy that when you are trying to escape, there has to be a mechanic that makes Altair run slowly, randomly jump off ledges, and only during these parts do I all of a sudden have this issue of randomly falling off a ledge, but then catching that ledge and then slowly climbing back up. I swear to God, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier in the video. There is a mechanic in this game that is doing this, I swear. Back at the Assassin's Bureau, the only thing to note here is that Altair is starting to feel like the men he is killing maybe aren't as bad as, Master Assassins leading them on to be, and maybe they're just trying to do what they believe in, just like Altair is doing what he believes in. It's nice to see Altair grow as a character. Little late, but it's still nice to see that. Time to go to the Master Assassin. We are in the home stretch now, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost done. If you stuck around this long at over an hour, I'm going to just shamelessly plug again. Like, comment, subscribe. We've been in through this together. You might as well come back for another video. I do make shorter videos. You can go check out one of those. Alright, now we are at the Master Assassin's office. Back at the Master Assassin's office, Altair asks why these men were chosen to be killed. Master Assassin says that is to weaken the even greater enemy that is the Templar Order. Then the Master gets Altair to recite the Assassin's Creed. Oh my god, that's the name of the game. I get it now. As I just said, it seems that Altair is growing as an assassin. This time there is no rank or reward. It's just an increase in weapon damage. For the short blade. This sucks. How am I ever going to be the super amazing, ultra cool guy with white hood assassin? Why can't my dreams just come true, man? Next target, though. Let's go. Our next target is Joubert. Location, Damascus. Reason, he hates literature and is burning books. We arrive in Damascus and go to the Assassin's Bureau, where in the littlest among help possible, the task giver behind the desk tells us to mingle among the people and learn things. Why, thank you. That's exactly what I've been doing for this entire game up till this point. That's exactly what we do when we're on our little adventures of assassin-y stuff. So what did we learn on our adventure of assassin-y things while mingling with the people in the city? We learned that Joubert has scholars destroying books in Damascus. We also learn where all the burnings are happening through a map. We also received a letter stating the stupidest thing that has ever been stupidly said. And it said that Joubert is surrounded by loyal people. Well, I'd hope so, because I don't think many people surround themselves with people who wish them ill and death. Seems counterproductive. Little side note, I can barely move in the city without being spotted and chased for like 10 minutes. This is super frustrating because there's guards everywhere, and so most of these missions are taking forever. Using the assassin's power of listening, we learn that Joubert is holding daily meetings with his followers. And with the power of sticky fingers, we learn that Joubert will be in a garden. Oh no, the horror. Spooky, spooky. Then, in the biggest plot twist of all, Joubert dresses like everyone else does, but in rich clothes. This guy's a damn monster. Back at the Assassin's Bureau, we tell the man behind the desk, hey, this is what we learned. And then he says, here's a feather, go kill Joubert. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We track down Joubert to a group of people burning books, and one starts to say, hey, maybe reading isn't so bad. Maybe we're the ones doing something wrong here. Maybe literature may not be as evil as everyone has been saying it is. Joubert then responds with an appropriate response by pushing him into the fire so he burns alive. He then leaves with his entourage to go watch more books burn because this guy is a pyromaniac. We now are tasked with scouring the district, killing all of the Joubert lookalikes as they burn books and rant about how books are bad. They're probably just not able to read themselves and are just upset about it. I don't know if you can find him right away or not, but not for me. I found him, literally he was the last guy that I found, so if you can find him earlier than that, let me know in the comments down below, but I found him as the last person. And we kill him fairly easily, so here's his cutscene.
Why have you done this?
Men must be free to do what they believe. It is not our right to punish one for thinking what they do, no matter how much we disagree.
Then what?
You of all people should know the answer. Educate them. Teach them right from wrong. It must be knowledge that frees them, not force.
They do not learn, fixed in their ways as they are. You are naive to think otherwise. It's an illness, for which there is but one cure.
You're wrong, and that's why you must be put to rest.
Am I not unlike those precious books you seek to save? A source of knowledge with which you disagree, yet you're rather quick to steal my life.
A small sacrifice to save many. It is necessary.
Is it not ancient scrolls that inspire the Crusaders? That fill Salah ad-Din and his men with a sense of righteous fury? Their texts endanger others, bring death in their wake. I too was making a small sacrifice. It matters little now. Your deed is done, and so am I.
Back at the Taskmaster at the Assassin's Bureau, Altair once again expresses his thoughts. Maybe the men he's killing aren't really that bad. They're just truly believers in what they're doing is good and helping. Just like the assassins believe that what they're doing is good and helping. It's just their beliefs, right? But once again, it's brushed away like it never was said, and we were told to go see the Master Assassin. We are once again ripped out of the Animus because this is what players love and absolutely admire about the Assassin's Creed series is being ripped out of the story whenever it is just getting good so we can go to bed. We come out of the Animus to hear the doctor arguing with somebody off screen about the location of something. We immediately are told to go to bed, so we go to bed. We wake in the morning to the doctor rambling ominously about our future. And Desmond, mirroring Altair's, expresses his own concerns about the people that he's killing within the Animus. And how accurate are these simulations? Are they really accurate? Because there seems to be some discrepancies in between what history has taught him and what he's seeing within the actual Animus. The doc says you can't trust everything you see or hear in the Animus, and to get back to work and basically shut up. Back in the Animus, we are already at the Master Assassin's office, and he tells us that there is one man left to kill, and it's Robert himself. According to the Master, Robert is consumed with his ambitions for power and will stop at nothing to get a piece of Eden. But the Master Assassin also says that he does not disagree nor agree with Robert's ambitions. He just simply does not agree with how Robert goes about his ambitions and getting his each individual goal accomplished. So I guess we are finally off to kill Robert, the man who we have been hunting this entire game. We finally get to come to a conclusion. End game, ladies and gentlemen. The end of the tunnel has a light, and we can see it now. Robert is in Jerusalem, and to make life easy, for some reason, this town crier literally says everything that we need to say anyway, or that I would say to you, so we're going to let him say it. These are Robert's goals right here.
Friends, are you a friend of mine? We have all suffered because of this. But now we are offered a chance at redemption. A chance to begin anew. Let us make peace with the Crusaders. Let us live as one. We must be strong, we must be brave, and we must find the courage to face those we once called our enemies and now instead call them friends. The Crusaders come to Jerusalem, bringing with them an opportunity to end the fighting, to stop the war. That we may stand as one, we must not turn them away.
So the town crier was also our intimidation mission, and he killed me. He literally beat the crap out of me. So we spawn, and we are immediately being chased. I'm showing you this because I literally has been my entire experience with this game. It has been literally running from guards. I just want to reiterate, this is not a fun game mechanic, and I don't even know how when back in Assassin's Creed first came out, this was considered a good game mechanic. And for that matter, how is it considered fun? Like, how did people recommend this to their friends? Do you want to run from a guard for, a couple hours a day? You do? All right, come play Assassin's Creed. This kind of stuff literally feels like time padding, and truthfully, there's no story. I already broke down the numbers for you earlier. It's half-baked missions connecting us to a bad guy. Okay. Rant is over. Coming out of our hiding spot, we are immediately hunted again. Isn't this fun, guys? Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun? Anyway, let's move on. Let's breathe and move on. I think you guys get the point, so we're going to just move on from this because it's going to take us a bit to get this mission done, but I wanted you guys to see the kind of frustration I'm going through. What you guys see in a few minutes, I'm taking an hour or two to do. It's getting quite brutal at this point, so let's move on. So back with Malik, we, for some reason, have an extra DNA slot. I don't know why, but we do, and I've checked, and we did everything in the district, so we can talk to Malik anyway and move on. I don't know if it's a glitch. We tell Malik that we believe these men are seeking peace, maybe in their own way, but they are all seeking peace in their own way too. And it might not be the same peace that the assassins are working towards, but it's a peace nonetheless. And with that, we're starting to show that we're doubting the Master Assassin. You guys can listen to this. It's very heartwarming.
Malik, before I go, there's something I should say.
Be out with it.
I've been a fool.
Normally I'd make no argument, but what is this? What are you talking about?
All this time, I never told you I was sorry. Too damn proud. You lost your arm because of me. Lost Qadar. You had every right to be angry.
I do not accept your apology.
I understand.
No, you don't. I do not accept your apology because you are not the same man who went with me into Solomon's temple. And so you have nothing to apologize for.
Malik.
Perhaps if I had not been so envious of you, I would not have been so careless myself. I'm just as much to blame.
Don't say such things.
We are one. As we share the glory of our victories, so too should we share the pain of our defeat. In this way, we grow closer. We grow stronger.
Thank you, brother.
Rest if you need to, Altair, that you might be ready for what lies ahead.
It is time to kill Robert. So we arrive at the funeral and we watch the cutscene where it becomes clear this was a trap. You can watch it too. I had to watch. You watch it. You watch it. I'm done with it. You watch this. I'm not explaining it to you. You have eyes.
On the loss of our beloved Majd-ad-Din, taken too soon from this world. I know you feel sorrow and pain at his passing, but you should not. For just as we are all brought forth from the womb, so too must we all one day pass from this world. It is only natural, like the rising and the setting of the sun. Take this moment to reflect on his life and give thanks for all the good he did. Know that one day you will stand with him again in paradise. As you know, this man was murdered. We have tried to track his killer, but it has proved difficult. These creatures cling to the shadows and run from any who would face them fairly. But not today, for it seems one stands among us. He mocks us with his presence and must be made to pay. Seize him! Bring him forward, that God's justice might be done!
So, as we learned our assassin's things, one of the people suggested, and that was Malik, that we escape. Fighting them would be suicide. So we try that. We run, and we run, and we run, and we continue to run. Now we hide, and now we run. It does not at all let us escape. So we stand and we fight. We just give up. We killed the other 8 this way. We're going to kill this guy this way. So we stand, we fight the men. And we fight for an ungodly amount of time so we can eventually kill Robert. After a very long, awkward camera angle fight, we dispatch all of the guards and we finally kill Robert. Or did we? And just like in Destroy All Humans, Robert was a chick?
What sorcery is this?
No sorcery. We knew you'd come. Robert needed to be sure he'd have time to get away.
So he flees.
We cannot deny your success. You have laid waste to our plans. First the treasure, then our men. Control of the Holy Land slipped away. But then he saw an opportunity to reclaim what has been stolen, to turn your victories to our advantage.
Al-Muallim still holds your treasure, and we've routed your army before. Whatever Robert plans, he'll fail again.
Ah. But it's not just Templars you'll contend with now.
Speak sense.
Robert rides for Arsa to plead his case that Saracen and Crusader unite against the Assassins.
That will never happen. They have no reason to.
Had, perhaps. But now you've given them one. 9, in fact. The bodies you've left behind, victims on both sides. You've made the Assassins an enemy in common and ensured the annihilation of your entire order. Well done.
Not 9. 8.
What do you mean?
You are not my target. I will not take your life. You're free to go, but do not follow me.
I don't need to. You're already too late.
We'll see.
Okay, it was an imposter. The chick is actually really impersonating Robert, because Robert has fled to gather the two warring armies and pit them against the assassins so they can gain control of the Holy Land. We let the lady imposter go as she's not on our hit list, and we go back to Malik. Once back with Malik, we explain all we have learned and how Robert is on a mission to unite the armies against the assassins, and that Altair has to go after him to stop Robert. Malik says that this is against the Creed, and Altair basically says he has to because he needs to save the Holy Land. He also tells Malik to either go mingle with the people of the city and come to the same conclusion as Altair, or go to the Master Assassin and tell him what Altair plans to do. Either way, it takes all the heat off of Malik. We head off to find Robert, and he's actually in a new place called the Plains of Arsuf. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but it's Arsuf. And this is just a very linear war instance, and we'll get into it here in a second. We work our way through what is really way too many people fighting each group as they jump at us with really no skill, to be honest. It's better than the rinse and repeat that we've been doing up to this point, but it's a little too late. And it's honestly kind of cringy, the amount of people that come flying at Altair, and he just simply dispatches them with little to no challenge. Like, the enemies attack in this giant group, and rather than overwhelm Altair with their numbers, they attack one at a time, and then they block 90% of our attacks. It's just long and drawn out like this entire gaming experience has been. So we work our way to the king. After fighting man after man and wave after wave, we finally reach him, and we explain to King Richard that Robert had betrayed him, and had been working to shut the king out of the Holy Lands this entire time, and had used each person of power, which we had just killed, all 8 of them, to achieve a different task. The king asks Robert if this is true. Of course, he denies everything, but you can't trust a bald guy with a scar. You just can't. And so then the king decides to let us fight, and he says, well, God will know who tells the truth, and God wouldn't let the one who tells the truth die. So, looks like we're going to go down in a fist fight, never mind sword fight, with Robert. It will be a fair fight with absolutely no weird gimmicks. Oh, it's not going to be a fair fight. First, we have to fight off yet another wave of minion fighters. Once you finally do that, Robert comes out, and the fight with him basically consists of blocking and countering his attacks until eventually you win. It is literally as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. The guy you've been working towards this entire game dies by just countering his attacks. I really got like the whole nobody saves the world feeling from this and fighting the calamity in that, which is a video on this channel. Go check it out if you're here. But it just felt very anticlimactic to fight the guy that we've literally been hunting for the whole game, and it's this easy. I died a couple times up to this point fighting the minions, but I never died to him. But in the Animus Cutscene thing, he explains that there wasn't 9 people that found the Ark. There was actually 10. And the 10th was our master assassin. What a twist. The cagey old man was actually a Templar? What?
Speak sense, Templar. Or not at all.
9 men he sent you to kill, yes? The 9 who guarded the treasure's secret.
What of it?
It wasn't 9 who found the treasure, assassin. Not 9, but 10.
A 10th? None may live who carry the secret. Give me his name.
Oh, but you know him well. And I doubt very much you'd take his life as willingly as you've taken mine.
Who?
It is your master, Al-Mualim.
But he is not a Templar.
Did you never wonder how it is he knew so much? Where to find us, how many we numbered, what we aspired to attain?
He is the master of the assassins.
Oui, master of lies. You and I just 2 more pawns in his grand game. And now, with my death, only you remain. Do you think he'll let you live, knowing what you do?
I've no interest in the treasure.
Ah, but he does. The only difference between your master and I is that he did not want to share.
No.
Ironic, isn't it? That I, your greatest enemy, kept you safe from harm. But now you've taken my life, and in the process, ended your own.
After we have a brief conversation with the king then grants us leave to go and fight the Master Assassin. So I guess we're off to fight the Master Assassin. Master Assassin. Location? Masyaf. Reason? Absolutely evil, cagey old man. Oh, never mind. We're going to get removed from the Animus again, but this time we're under attack by modern-day assassins. Though unlike the assassins of the past, these ones use loud machine guns. For some stupid reason, the doctor thinks that we brought them here. Because, you know, I've had all the time in the world between him waking me up in the morning, putting me on an Animus, me going into a coma, and then going into Altair's world, then coming out of the Animus and being put right back to bed. I had all the time in the world to call in modern-day assassins. He also explains that the Templars have killed most of the modern-day assassins, and after this attack fails, they had finally killed them all. Other than me and Lucy, who is also apparently an assassin. What? I know, right? Yeah, no, we all saw that one coming. The doctor wakes us in the morning, happy as can be, and he says today will be their last day, and that they will finally get what they want. He also hints that Desmond will not live to see the end of the day, so we gotta go back into the Animus, even though we're gonna die. I don't know why Desmond does this. Like, if they're gonna kill you anyway, you might as well just cuck them. Don't let them get what they want. Anyway, back in the Animus. Back in the Assassin City, we see that everyone has left, or so we think. We eventually find some, and they seem to have been brainwashed by the Master Assassin. We work our way up to the castle, fighting off some brainwashed assassin, and when all hope seems lost and we're about to get overwhelmed, Malik shows up to then save us. Thank you, Malik. You beautiful one-armed man who I had the joy of getting the brother killed. Thank you. Malik then tells us that Robert had kept the journal, and in that journal it had explained all the ways the Master Assassin had betrayed the Templars and had used the assassins to do his bidding. So basically, Malik found this off-screen thing that will literally clear Altair, all of his wrongdoing, and put all the blame on the Master Assassin, and make it all happily ever after when this is over. Good job, Malik. Way to just the whole thing come out of nowhere with all the plot, saving holes filled. You saved us, Malik. You saved us. Well, that's creepy. We find Master Assassin in the garden, and he immediately freezes us and gives us that bad guy villain speech. I will rule the world, and you will be my slave. Not you, though. You're going to die, but everyone else will be my slave. So I have to say, the magic was a little left field. I was not expecting that. Compared to the rest of the game, it's like super like, whoa, what's going on here? He then spawns all the people that we had already had to fight, and we have to fight them again. But this time they're super easy, and we just have to one-hit them. He freezes us again. More bad guy speech. You will not get away with this. I'm going to kill you. And then Altair goes, face me like a man. He goes, for sure, let's do it. I have all this magic, but I'm going to fight you with the sword instead. He then splits into many forms of himself. Once again, super easy. We don't even have to kill all of them. Just have to kill 3. And then guess what he does? He freezes us again. See, even in the climax of the game, they have to be repetitive. They have to reuse the same sort of things. They could have used this magic in any other way. No, the magic is only to split him into a million people, teleport him around the map, and freeze. Nothing he does hurts us. Not one thing. So what is the point in the magic? Why are they reusing? They could have done so much here, and that's all I'm trying to get at. They could have made this so much better if they just put some effort into it. Right? Like spawning in all the characters, that's cool, except for the fact that we can kill them in one hit. Would have been cooler if we had to take them on one by one, or maybe they had magic themselves now because they're all Templars and the Templars share their thing. They're a hive mind. I don't know. What I'm saying is this is a poor way to bring in this magical element. It really just is anticlimactic because we eventually just kill him because his third phase as a boss is literally just teleporting around the map and standing still. That's it. And then we run up to him and we hit him. During this fight, it was so boring, I stopped to collect the 2 flags that are within this garden for the flag capturing thing. That's it. That's how boring this fight was. So we kill the Master Assassin, and like all the others, he mutters about how he was doing the right thing. And he was doing it to better the world, and I don't know what I've done. Whatever. Shut up.
Go and claim your prize.
You held fire in your hand, old man. It should have been destroyed.
Destroy the only thing capable of ending the Crusades and creating true peace? Never.
Then I will.
We'll see about that.
After killing him, we walk over to the Piece of Eden. Walking over to it makes it glow, and then this magic hologram of the Earth appears. Not modern day Earth, but past day Earth. Past Earth? And in that past Earth, there's some continents that don't exist, some island masses, but there's also these red flashing dots. And then we hear the good doctor say, we got it. Bum bum bum.
We've got it.
Coming out of the Animus, it seems that the modern Templars needed the map in order to find more of the missing treasures of Eden. An off-screen voice says to kill Desmond, but Lucy steps in to save us by saying, we may be still useful to get the artifacts out of temples or other locations. If we have to go back in time through the Animus again, we're going to need Desmond to connect to his ancestors. Mystery voice off-screen agrees to spare us for now, and then everyone just leaves. They just leave. That's how it ends. They just leave. There's a little bit more, but that's really, they don't even say bye. They just leave. Oh, so now Desmond can use Eagle Vision in the modern world. So we go to our room and use Eagle Vision, and on the wall, scribbled in blood, well, or scribbles in blood, I don't know what these are, and then the end credits play. So we did it. We beat Assassin's Creed 1 and gave you a commentary spanning over 20 pages and over 11,000 words. This was a big one. and a lot to take in, but it's done, and we did it. We beat the very first game that I ever 100%ed as a child. It feels good and bad at the same time. Like, I'm happy I beat it again, but I have, like, totally destroyed my nostalgia of this game. But that's what this As I Remembered series is about, is figuring out what games were actually good and what games weren't. Earlier in the video, I gave you a list of games that came out in 2007. And I stand by my statement then that I would rather play any one of those games again than this game. We're going to get into the review part now. So, in the As I Remembered series, we rank games on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the game is nothing like I remembered, and 5 being exactly what I remembered. Okay? Remember, this is not a review of the game itself, but on my memory of the game. We do talk about issues within the game and some of the actual storylines, and we also break it down mission by mission, but it's not a review on the game. It's just we're going through it so you get a better understanding of where I'm coming from when I say what my review numbers are. Okay? It's really a review of my mind. So that being said, I give Assassin's Creed, wait for it. 2 out of 5. Yeah, it's a 2 out of 5, guys. So I should address the 2, not being a 1, right? And it's really actually quite simple. I remember walking to school and me and my friends talking about Altair and how slow and stupid he would be when he was climbing. Or the fact he would jump off random ledges. Or during sleepovers, I remember dying and having to give up my turn with Altair in Assassin's Creed to somebody else over something that I could not control, like when he would randomly jump left or right into water, and then you would die. So I didn't take any points off for this. The controls are what they are, and I remembered what they were. So, it's not a 1, it is a 2. I want you to remember Anthem. Anthem released and was immediately dead within like 2 weeks because of repetitive missions and poor dialogues, reused assets, and just having a beautiful world was not enough to hold that game up. If Assassin's Creed 1 released today as a new IP in a world that had never seen Assassin's Creed before, none of the movies, none of the spin-off games, and none of the 12 main story games, it would be immediately left into the discount bin. We'd be lucky to see a sequel. Assassin's Creed had a massive marketing budget, and I remember seeing it everywhere as a kid. TV commercials on the internet, magazines, you couldn't look anywhere without seeing our favorite assassin Altair looking back at you through his hooded gaze, tempting you to purchase the game. I remember people buying it and running around school doing parkour. Kids pretending that they were going to have their fingers removed to become an assassin. And everyone had an uncle that was members of the Assassin's Guild, and everyone said, no, my uncle's the better assassin. Assassin's Creed was a literal movement, and it is simply because of the time it was released and the era it released in. It was the Fortnite of its time, and it benefited massively from being a unique IP in a market that often recycles and repeats its trends. It even stood against the titans that I mentioned earlier in the video. And it did it in a way that made it so other games had a hard time making a game similar to Assassin's Creed and not having people just wanting to play Assassin's Creed or calling them out for being ripoffs. It carved its niche and then it held its fast. It was a powerhouse of its time, and it just doesn't stack up to today's standards for me. For today, Assassin's Creed 1 is nothing but a memory. Well, guys, there's a childhood game for me destroyed, abolished, never to ever be the same in my mind again. I have been your host, Mr.Flatfaceyt, the man of many faces and even more opinions. And this has been my complete walkthrough/playthrough/review of Assassin's Creed 1, the game that's kickstarted a mega franchise today. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and maybe consider subscribing. Do you agree or disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, in the interest of parkour, I have to explore Italy with Ezio. And hopefully, it will be as I remembered, because Assassin's Creed 1 was not as I remembered. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.
Hey, you. You like the video? You like what's playing in the background? Then maybe consider following. Hit that subscribe button. Check out one of these playlists on the left or right. And the next video is going to be on Ezio in Italy. Bye.